Today, other interesting cultural news, you have Bud Light stock now down right about 20% in the past 6 months. It even dropped this week 3.4% in a single day. Now this comes after the brilliant Alyssa Heiderchild, the first woman VP of marketing at Anheuser-Busch. She was so proud of that fact, she put that in her LinkedIn profile. First woman. Oh, yeah. She, of course, was the brainchild who said, we make alcohol. We think it's too fratty, even though she herself was a frat girl in college, drinking copious amounts of alcohol from prophylactic devices. And she said, oh, it's too fratty. We're going to hire someone who, this person, Dylan Mulvaney, this person's average audience member is about 15 years old. That would be a perfect brand ambassador for Bud Light. And this happened April 1st, ironically, though it was not a joke. And they proceeded to lose $400 million in sales Q2 compared to the same fiscal Q2 last year, as there was a huge cultural backlash. And as the company acquiesced from any semblance of responsibility or accountability, they also did not, quote unquote, stick with Dylan or defend Dylan, who is also known as a trans activist. Although Dylan never got the surgery or the drugs, so there's a lot of controversy in and of itself. So there's a lot of conservatives people who started to boycott the brand. Then you had a lot of people in the middle boycott the brand. Then you had people on the left start to boycott the brand, specifically because the company didn't stick with Dylan. Specifically, there's a famous gay bar holding company in Chicago, of which there are many, where they said because the company did not stick with Dylan, they were going to ban all Anheuser-Busch InBev products from their bars. So it was a perfect storm of quite literally alienating a majority of the audience, and people just stopped buying the product. Week over week, the sales are down about 26-27% by volume and about 30% by sales. So it's not too surprising that their stock would drop precipitously low. So specifically, it dropped 19.75% in the past 6 months, which, again, they just erased a lot of their gains. And I'm actually surprised there's not more conspiracy theories about the CEO shorting the company, a phenomenon in which you actually bet for the company their stock to go down. Because if there's anyone shorting this company, they made off like bandits. Now, it looks like earlier this week, InBev actually opened at $54.50 per share and then closed down at $53.42 per share. And year to date, they're down 10.37%. Now, however, if you look at the larger picture overall, because again, traditionally they had strong fiscal quarters. Q1 they did quite well. Now, in the past year, they're actually up 16.51% when it comes to their stock valuation, from $45.85 to $53.42 per share. So it'll be interesting to see, again, for the year they're doing good, but week over week over week, their stock's going down lower and lower and lower. And culturally speaking, their attempted comeback is perhaps a great metaphor for the Chicago Bears. I'm sure they're trying, I just would never know because they never make the headlines or really do anything. But I'm sure they'll be good next year. Perhaps that will be the new metaphor, Bud Light is the Chicago Bears of beer. Hilariously enough, Bud Light is the official sponsor or ambassador, or whatever you want to call it, for the NFL. But I'm sure they'll be good next year. So they're trying to do social media pushes on Twitter, on YouTube, and all these types of platforms. And they're even giving away free copious amounts of Bud Light in an attempt, I think, to maybe quash some of the negativity on Twitter, so that a majority of responses are all people just wanting free Bud Light, which I'd love to interview those folks. I don't know who the hell they are. Some of them are actually real. They're real people. I didn't believe it when I first saw the phenomenon, but I looked at their profiles. Most of them, they just repost for free anything. But I can't conceivably think of what you would do if you won a case of Bud Light. If you entered this sweepstakes that they always do, I mean, what would you do if you won a case of Bud Light beer? The number of things you could do simply perplexes mind in terms of, I think I've come up with 6 by now, with my idea earlier this week being you could use it for ballast if you were a hot air balloon operator. And instead of using sandbags, you just use cases of Bud Light. Although, if you have to cut it and it falls down, it could hit someone on the head, which may be preferable to your health as opposed to drinking the product. So there's a little bit of upside or a silver lining there. But I mean, in terms of other use cases of you winning a Bud Light, what you would do with it, I know you could. Aluminum is very recyclable. You could, of course, recycle and melt down the aluminum to make a better product. But what would you do if you won a case of Bud Light as they continue to have these sweepstakes to try to win back customers and market share? And it, of course, is not working, evidenced by their sales and their stocks just continuing to plummet. But, and I'm just spitballing here, if I won a case of Bud Light, I know Kid Rock infamously shot them up, so they make good. We know they make good target practice. Perhaps the substance is so toxic you could use it for a cleaning product, similar to Listerine back in the day, which was invented, actually, ironically enough, to clean the floors of bathrooms. And then they decided, oh yeah, let's have people put this in their mouths. And as crazy as that sounds, Listerine is now predominantly used to be put into people's mouths to cure a disease they made up called halitosis. Good marketing. So I suppose Bud Light could be used to clean the floor. Maybe. It could be used for fishing. Now, I don't recommend this because the fish would get in their mouth, but if you took a Bud Light and you pour it into a lake, it would be so viscerally disgusting and unpalatable, the fish would either die, or the fish, in their fear of having to ingest more Bud Light, they might jump out of the lake into your boat. So we may have just found the 7th use case for Bud Light. It might be a very effective methodology for fishing. That's not a terrible idea. So I take it back. There are many uses for Bud Light. We are now coming up with use case number 7. And then perhaps I'll actually note that down right here. 7 use cases. Fishing implementation device. Fish come to you to avoid Bud Light. Will we possibly be able to come up with 8? That's the real question. And it's one of those things, I don't know if clicking the comment button or even the subscribe button can cure stuttering. There's no Mayo Clinic trials on this. It's just something I kind of just thought of on the show. As I try to work my stuttering, maybe perhaps that is the cure. It in and of itself lies within your power to fix. It's never been done. Perhaps we can try that today. If you click that button, perhaps that will help with the show tomorrow. Thank you everyone for taking the time to do it in today. I really appreciate your support. Also, if you did take the time to click that subscribe button. I know it's ambitious, but we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of October. So every one of those clicks especially helps. Also, the critical feedback is also appreciated if you take the time to comment. I always try to take the time, even if it's a day or two late, to read and respond to your comments because I do appreciate the feedback as we try to make the show better and better. Also, lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.